Welcome to Get Your Mind Right. Today, we're diving into your questions and insights in our mailbag segment. Thanks to everyone who wrote in. Let's open up the mailbag.
Welcome back to Get Your Mind Right Mailbag Edition. Now, today, we're diving into high stakes moments when things get awkward, uncertain, or downright risky in the sales process. And you've got to decide, am I going to take control or do I take the bait? Well, stick around for the backstory where we're going to talk about a shark on the wall, an ex boss of mine who cracked under the pressure, and what it has to do with reps losing deals that could have won. But first, we got a heat wave of sales questions from the field. First of all, Nellie Schlachter from Newburgh, Indiana. She wants to know, John, when facing early termination fees and wondering, do you pay them or you just walk away? Oh, and here's our favorite group from Evansville, Indiana, the Sheenanigans. They're back, and they want to know, how do you explain a risk hold without setting off a panic attack in the merchant? And we're going to wrap today with Whitney Johnson from Evansville, Indiana. And she's asking, do you push the close or you pull back and wait? How do you even know? Let's get into it. First of all, Nellie Schlachter from Newburgh, Indiana. She says, John, how do you handle it when a potential merchant is interested in switching to you, but they have an ETF in place? Do you suggest reps pay it up, or just wait it out? Well, Nellie, this is a great gut check moment in merchant services. So let's break this down to a few hard truths and some tactical options. Now, first of all, here's what you never, ever, ever want to do. Do not lead with, we'll pay your ETF. For a couple of reasons. First thing you do is you're miserable, incompetent competition. That's what they say 100% of the time. Now, the other thing is when you say this, it's put you on the hook before you've even earned their investment. If you're just throwing money before commitment, you're playing defense and the deal hadn't even got started. Let's look at what your options are here. The first thing is position the wait. And this is when you're in a long game sale. You may be getting an opportunity and that merchant said up front, they're not going to move today. They're going to be moving in 3 months, 6 months, 9 months, or a year. It's one that you want to keep on the radar. But this position the wait, it works best also when their contract is winding down. Let's say it's 9 months before they're going to make a move and their contract's going to expire in a year. Well, that ETF is going to be diminished greatly. The other thing this works very well is when that merchant has doubts about their incumbent provider. So Nellie, I want you to frame it like this. Say, hey, Bob, I want to help you win long term, not just make a fast switch that costs you. So I tell you what, let's stay in touch. I'll keep evaluating your numbers. And the second that you're clear and you're ready, I'll be in the first line to level you up. And Nellie, what this does is makes you look strategic, not desperate. Now, the next thing to do is to cover that ETF, but conditionally. If the return on investment is big and the merchant's ready now, this can work, but only if you've got the paperwork signed or that signing is imminent. You get full transparency on the current provider, what you're committed to, and you, Nellie, you recover that investment within 30 to 60 days. You want to position this as an investment, not a favor. You might say, Bob, if we can formalize everything and move quickly, I'm open to helping you with that early termination cost because I see, and hopefully by now you see, what your long-term value is here. Your option 3 here is you split the risk. And this is the middle ground. And a lot of times, quite frankly, the most elegant in a lot of cases. Offer to split the fee or defer your benefit until they've recouped it. And that shows partnership, not pressure. Now, Nellie, as always, show great value in any of these situations. And if you're doing a job of showing great value, in the parlance of a business owner, that means return on investment. That means growing his top line. That means swelling his bottom line. That means a quick payback. And all of a sudden, these ETFs and these other hurdles and your competition are screwing around and swatting flies. You're not anymore. You're winning deals. The bottom line here, Nellie, is the great reps don't automatically pay. They position, they qualify, they negotiate. And if the merchant's asking you to cover the ETF before they even fill out an application, well, that's not really a partnership. That's just a hostage situation. Nellie, thanks for the question. This one is always worth revisiting. Now, One of my favorites, their group, their clutch, they have a hive mind. It's the Shenanigans at Evansville, Indiana. And they want to know, John, from a sales rep's perspective, if a merchant is placed in a risk hold, how can you advise them without causing panic? Oh, this was delicate because a risk hold can be like telling a merchant their account just tested positive for salmonella. Even if it's minor, man, it can feel major. So your tone, your timing, and your trust, well, they all matter here a lot. Now, the first thing to do is own the calm. If your voice gets shaky, your merchant, they're going to spiral. You have got to become the emotional thermostat. Try this. Hey, Bob, I want to give you a heads up. We are running a quick review on your file. This happens all the time, just part of protecting you and protecting the processor. Let's go through a checklist, what we're not saying here. We're not saying hold. We're not saying review. We're not saying problem. We're saying precaution. Now, the next thing to do here, a lot of reps really fall short in this arena, is educating your merchant up front or before it happens. And the great reps out there, they pre-frame this even before onboarding begins. You know, Bob, occasionally our team does a quick risk audit just to make sure everything aligns with compliance. It's usually nothing, but if it happens, I'll walk you through it. That way, if it hits, it's not a bomb, it's a blip. And the last thing here is controlling the timeline. Even when you don't have full visibility, which often you won't, you tell them this. Hey, my team's reviewing this right now. I'm going to check back with you by end of business today, noon tomorrow, end of business tomorrow. And then you got to actually do it. No updates is still an update. Shenanigans, your job is not to eliminate their stress. It's to show them that you're in control when things get weird, and they just got weird. The last word here is do not shift blames. This is a big problem. I've seen this happen before, and the rep immediately, they take the greatest position of weakness. Well, we don't have anything to do with it. It's our processor. Well, you're telling your merchant a couple of really important things right off the bat. Number one, you can't help them. And number two, you weren't a very good choice. Your company wasn't a very good choice because you can't help them. And third, what you're doing is you're now making that merchant a shopper. If you can't help them and your company doesn't have any stroke, guess what? I'm going to go find someone who does. Shenanigans, always great to hear from you. Now, our last question comes from Whitney Johnson from Evansville, Indiana. And Whit says, John, how do you know when to push for a close versus when to take a step back? Well, Whit, this is a strong one because the difference between a win and a wall is often just one little misread. Let's get real here. You don't close a deal by being aggressive. You close it by reading energy with precision. Let's talk about these three indicators. The first ones are the category of when to push. And that's you've confirmed buying authority. You're dealing with the decision maker. You're dealing with the person who ultimately is going to write the check or is going to answer for this. And secondly, you've handled all their objections. And third, there's a clear urgency here. There's pricing, there's deadlines, there's ROIs, there's bonuses, there's pain points. All those things you've done to add value to the process. Whit, in this particular context here, I'm going to use direct language. I'm going to say, Bob, it looks like we've got this all teed up here. Let's go ahead and lock this in today so we can keep the pricing on the proposal. It's that simple. There's nothing slick. There's no back door on this. We're just stating the obvious. Now, let's go about when to pull back. There's some pretty obvious signs sometimes here. Their voice tightens up. They start saying, I need to think about it without looking up. You're getting short and polite responsives. Yes and no's. Not any kind of elaboration whatsoever. Well, this is where rookies get nervous and they've misinterpreted their training and they start bulldozing. Bad mistake. But you, Whitney, you're going to pump the brakes on that bulldozer. So try this. Hey, Bob, that's totally fair. This isn't something I want you to rush. Can I ask you something? Is there something unclear or unsettled on what I've talked to you about. You didn't back off, you leaned in with care. There's a rule of thumb here, Whitney. If they ask questions, they're open. If they're giving you statements, they're closing the door. Lean into curiosity when they're curious, and lean into silence when they're defensive. Because Whitney, the great closers, they don't push harder, they listen sharper. And that is how you get your mind right. And now for the backstory. Welcome to the backstory, where I take a step back before we move forward. Each week, I share moments that shape me, whether it's my time as a sales rep, my journey as a dad, experiences I had, stories I've learned, or the curiosity that's followed me since childhood. Because every lesson learned today, well, there's usually a story worth telling behind it. Let's get into it. Today's backstory is titled, Don't Take the Bait, Presence Over Panic. Well, this is a quick one and it's a fun one today because this comes from my ex-boss, mentor, and good friend, David W. Herrenbrook. The man was a master in presence, persuasion, and patience. Now, by the way, that's David W. Herrenbrook. I've linked him here in LinkedIn. He, in turn, would love to hear from you. Now, as I said, Dave was the master. He taught me a lot. But you know what? Sometimes even legends get tested. So years ago, David, he walks into this attorney's office. It's this really weird, narrow shotgun place that felt like someone built a hallway, got distracted, and said, yeah, this is a really great idea to put an office here instead. And behind that attorney's desk was a full taxidermied shark, not just a little cute mounted fish or even a cute little shark for that matter. A giant, gaping, teeth-bared sea demon bolted to the wall. I mean, you could not walk away from this thing. It absolutely dominated not just that wall, but the entire room. And David, well, he's been trained for this moment. In sales, he had learned early, don't comment on the obvious. Don't react to the bait. Don't get caught up in the wall art. Well, why? Because the moment you point out that shark, you've given up control. You've let that weird thing in the room dominate the energy. You're commenting on the first thing that every bad salesperson did that darkened this office. And you know what? David knew that. He taught other people this. He himself had been trained on it. And halfway through the meeting, he cracked. Couldn't stand it anymore. And said, so, I gotta ask, what's the story with the shark on the wall? And the attorney, deadpan. Not interested. Didn't flinch. Didn't care. And you know what? David got hit hard with this, and he got hit hard instantly. He let the impulse beat his intention. He traded presence for curiosity, and he chased the bait and lost the flow. And that, my friends, is exactly what we have to avoid in sales. Not just in sales, but because in business, in your life, and in your sales pipeline, there's always going to be a shark on the wall. A weird objection, an awkward silence, an odd vibe, a panic email, a merchant flipping out over a small issue. But the best, they don't jump at it. They let that shark continue to circle. They stay grounded and they leave the room. So Whitney, this is your moment. Nellie, this is your discipline. And shenanigans, that is your calm. Because sales isn't necessarily about being interested. It's about being intentional. Let that shark swim away. Here's our takeaways from today, folks. Don't throw money at every deal. We want a position. We don't want to panic. I want to communicate risk with clarity, not chaos. You want to know when to push and when to pull. And whatever you do, do not take the bait. Contrary to what you've heard, it is not safe to go back into the water. Now, before we wrap today, it's quiz time. What's one sign it's time to pull back in a sales conversation? A, merchants asking you about next steps. B, they're giving you short, polite statements. C, they see you're taking notes. Or D, you hear urgency in their voice. Drop your answers in the comment below. And hey, share this with someone you think might enjoy it. And please like and hit that subscribe button. If you got questions or comments, drop them in the box below. See you back here on Wednesday for Get Your Mind Right.